everyone, in today's video we're going to look at the parts of the IDE, maybe a little bit back to front with our last video, but we're still using version 4.0 release candidate 2. If you aren't using any of the release candidates, depending upon how you look, you could be using either the, let's call it the Lazarus classic view, where all the windows are separate from each other, similar to what you might see in Delphi 6, where the object inspector would be in one window, the code's in a separate window, from the form and so on. The main menu and the palette bar would be together. Anyway, so in the version 4 going forwards, I'm using the let's say the more modern view, or the docked view, and you've got the main menu, and on the next, let's say, part is the component palette and the toolbar. The left hand side here you have the object inspector, which basically depending on the control that is selected, you can see the properties and event handlers associated with that control. In the middle of the window here you've got the source code editor. I'm just going to say down here other windows which are useful when you're compiling or debugging, and on the right hand side here you've got the component list or component explorer, code explorer. Now the what you'll see here in the in this middle section here where the code is, just to the left hand side of a procedure there'll be a little tiny control here which you can use to collapse or expand your code. So if you do have a lot of code there, you can make things easier to navigate potentially by having a collapsed view in your display where it makes sense to. The other thing you'll also note here that it does have syntax highlighting, for keywords, reserved words, and comments, etc. The other thing to note here is that, let's just fix up that, and with using the control space, you've got a code tool opens up that you can use to, so let's go for toString, that you can use to auto-complete your code, for instance. And that would be about it for this particular section here. I should say also though, to switch between the code window and the form, you use the F12 key, and that brings open that window there. If you hit it again, it's like it acts as a toggle. Now the one thing, which not the only thing, but the one thing which I like about the this object inspector here is that, let's say you have a component on a form which has a large number of components going down, is that you can actually filter for a particular property. So you want to change its value. So I've just picked on a label here, and what I want to find is the caption. So I type in that and I can see what the caption is, and if I want to change it to that, I can hit that, press enter, and I can tell you that's been changed. That should be changed over here in a minute if I make it a little bit wider. Hang on, let's number of ounces. What did I change? My goodness, let's try that again, shall we? Number of ounces, O-U-N-C-S. That's a typo there. Now we're cooking with gas, and you can see it there now. So the fact that you can filter makes it, rather than having to scroll through an entire list to find something of interest, if you've got an idea what you're looking for, then it can make it easier to to modify that particular property's value. By the way, that's probably another thing to note here. Think of a property as being an attribute or a setting associated with a component. So let's take again the a label. A label has a caption that gets displayed. It has a position, and let's say an X and a Y coordinate, which is in the top and the left properties. It has a height, it has font information, and so on. These are all properties of that edit control, or sorry, the label. Not only do you have a editor with the object inspector, but there's also one for a component on the right hand side here. So I'm looking for a edit control. So what's available to me here? So if I just type the word edit in there, I can see I can use a labeled edit, a mask edit, a T edit, and so on, and I can select the best edit control, for the particular task I'm writing for. So if I were, say, using a file name edit, then I can go and select that one, for instance, and then what you typically can do is you can then just, if you click on that one, you click on the form, and the particular control then gets placed on the form, and you can move it where you would like to. Once you have a control on the form, the next thing to consider will be these, and that get executed in response to some sort of action. So for example, I have a button here, and I have an on-click action, and so that if the user clicks on that button, this bit of code here gets executed. And like I said, that will, in this case here, from the last program, it just does a conversion function. You can also have, let's say there's a resize action. So for example, you want to either move the control or resize the control as the result of a resizing action. You may want to do something, add code to handle a drag and drop type action, and they would be handled, by the on drag drop and the on drag over type events. So depending on the events or the things you're trying to add code for, that can be handled through the event inspector. Now you'll see here also now that if we go back to this control here, that is currently named button one click, and on the right hand side here where the code is, it's also button one click. It may be better if we were to rename that to something else. So let's just say here we could say we're going to remove all of that and say convert OZ to ML, and you can see here in the code editor that it gets updated there. So you are not necessarily constrained into using the names that get automatically created. It's sometimes helpful to put your own names in for the actions, because you may want to have them called from other controls, be it another button or an edit field, for instance. And also, just because you've added a on-click action to that button, if I were to, let's go just back to here, and I were to add another button in here, I can then also select that that's the very same event handler to this other button which I'm just adding in. Again, you don't have to just double click and copy the code from the one down. And that's also another thing to do with forms, which you have action lists, but that's for another video. Now the bottom part of the underneath the source editor, then we've got a few different tabs here. One is for messages, then there's watches, search results, assembler, and breakpoints. So what happens here is that, let's say we were to build the program. While it's in yellow, it is compiling, and when it's green, it's completed building. If there's any issues with the compiling and linking of the program, that information gets displayed here. Watches are when you are debugging your program and you want to inspect or change the values of variables or properties you're looking at. That's there in here. Search results should be rather obvious. So when you are doing searching, the location or where things can be found is in here. Breakpoints, I'll demonstrate this one here. If I were to just click in this on the left hand side of the panel where the source code is found, you see a little red dot appear here and a red dot appears on the bottom here. And if I were to have, let's say, put a breakpoint there, it will take me, and I double click, it takes me to the respective breakpoints there. So perhaps the last bit of this puzzle here is, well, I've built my program, how do I run it? Well, you can, if you hit this, so basically on the toolbar, in the toolbar part, or you could go to the run menu. You can either run with debugging or just run without debugging, sorry, that's my fault, or hit the run button. And if we do hit the run button here, it's going to hit that breakpoint, which I don't want. We run it again. I'll take that breakpoint there out. And let's just say we go here, we type in 23, hit the button, hit the button, and it tells me there's 680 mils, and that's what the program did. So like I said, to get the program to run, we use that button there. The other buttons here for things like pausing the program or resetting the program, we can cover that in a later video. So that about ends the tour of the IDE. We'll go into things like key bindings and other things in another video. So if you have any questions, or you have any questions or tips about the IDE, or that you'd like me to cover in another video, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. But until next time, happy coding, and I'll see you then. Bye.